And now, here to entertain you all, because every day he's hustling. Side Hustle Cinema.
Welcome back to the channel. Side Hustle Cinema here. Thanks for clicking on this video. And today we're doing another After the Hunt video. I'm going to show you guys what I picked up this week. Normally I would do some movie news tossed in there, but because of this week's haul, everything was like 4Ks that I got. And I've actually went through and watched a few of them, and I kind of want to do like a little bit of a disc review for you guys and just talk about them a little bit more in depth, and kind of let you know what to expect on those transfers if you haven't picked them up yet, and yeah, just give you my thoughts and opinions on what I saw. It was kind of interesting. And so the first two movies I want to talk about today with you guys are a couple of movies I got that were on sale off Diabolic's website. They had a Blue Underground sale. And, you know, Blue Underground movies are pretty expensive. They had a pretty nice sale. I don't think it was quite, maybe it was 50% off or like 40%. I don't know what it was exactly. But a lot of their stuff was selling out. So I was lucky to be able to take advantage of it, and I finally pulled the trigger on Maniacs Cop 2 and 3. I'd been waiting to get these for such a long time. I've heard good things about the transfers. I love the slipcovers on here. They look great. You know, got those nice big thick cases that Blue Underground does. And of course, you know, these have you know, Dolby Atmos on them as well, so that's also very cool. And you know, they're usually pretty expensive, but I got them for a pretty good deal. And finally, too, you know, I've had my eye on them a few times, and they've been on sale, and I hesitate and I wait a little bit, and then the sale ends. They go back up to $35 a piece, you know. But Blue Underground does such a great job. I'm really looking forward to checking these out in the very near future. And there's also a couple topics that maybe we'll touch on, like, you know, with 4K. I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on something. You know, let me know in the comments. You know, let's get a conversation going down there. Let me know, do you think that we're getting the same kind of quality 4Ks that we used to get? Do you think the quality is starting to diminish? I know we're getting out a whole lot more 4Ks, and there's so many more companies, more boutique labels that are getting involved, but, you know, there's pros and cons to the boutique labels. I mean, it's nice that it's happening, but one of the big cons to the boutique labels getting involved is that, you know, you're almost never going to get that upgraded audio from a boutique label. There's very few that will put out Atmos tracks. I mean, Blue Underground does. You know, Synops does. But, you know, those are movie companies that charge a lot. You know, and that's part of the reason is, you know, if you're putting in an Atmos track on one of these movies that never had one, it's like $80,000 to $100,000 for these companies, and they don't sell that many. You know, they're not like the big studios, which is always kind of strange when people say, "Oh, so and so movie's coming out. Who would you like to see carry it?" You know. And you'll get, oh, I'd like to see Kino Lorber do it. I would like to see Arrow do the transfer. You know, I'd like to see this or that. You know, they name off all these boutique labels. Me, I'm always hoping for a studio. You know, I want the studio to back up and do it. You know, whatever studio originally released it, I would love to see them do it. Because then you stand a chance of getting like Atmos, and usually I think a better job, honestly, on the transfers. And one of those is like Real Genius. Now, I didn't watch this one in full. I will watch it like a little bit later tonight. But I did pop it in just to kind of take a look at it, listen to it a little bit. And see, this is an older movie. And this is one of those that if Arrow would have done it or Kino Lorber would have done it, it wouldn't have had an Atmos track. But it does because Sony put it out. You know, and they can afford to do it because they'll mass produce this one. And, you know, it'll be one of those that ends up going on sale too. You know, that's the other nice thing. You know, when the boutique labels put out a movie and they go out of print, the price goes way up. But because they manufacture so many of the big studio releases, then what you get is in a few months, the price goes down. Or actually, not even a few months. It's usually a few weeks, the price starts to go down. And, you know, so this may end up being a $10 or $13 title in the very near future. And so that's another advantage of having the big studios do it instead of the boutiques. So, you know, I'm kind of torn sometimes on that. Because I do love some of the boutiques, but I understand that they can't always put the money into it that the big studios can. But, you know, so this one, honestly, look at that slipcover. I love this artwork on here. This is great. And if you haven't seen this movie, it is a really good movie. Very solid comedy. It's got Val Kilmer in it. I mean, it's got that 80s feel to it, but it's kind of almost like a Revenge of the Nerds style movie. You know, all these kids are like geniuses. They're working on a laser. And, you know, they think it's for one reason. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's for another reason. That kind of deal. And, but, you know, it's got this kid who's like, you know, going to college early. You know, he's like a super genius. And he ends up like rooming with, or not, I think he was rooming with Val Kilmer. But, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's fun. It's a really fun comedy. Very cool. I've seen it a bunch of times actually. You know, it would come on like late night on cable a lot. You know, that kind of deal. But definitely looking forward to watching this one. But from what I've seen, it looked pretty good. I mean, the old movies shot, you know, they never quite look as crisp and as clear as you would like them to be. But you know, it looks like from what I saw, they did a really good job cleaning this one up, and it sounded pretty cool too. I mean, you know, it's not really the kind of movie that an Atmos track is like really gonna stick out. But there's definitely some scenes that would you know, sound pretty cool with an Atmos track on it. Next, let's talk about Platoon. And this one's out on 4K and comes to us from Shout Select. So Shout Factory, you know, put this one out. And this was the one that I'd said earlier when all these movies were released. And I was like, everyone's going to be talking about all those other movies coming out. But this would be the one to steal the show. And honestly, it kind of let me down. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it was going to be. Now, as far as the movie goes, I absolutely love this movie. This is my favorite war movie. And the cast on this one is just like unbelievable. I mean, it's one of the best casts, you know, you'll find in a movie. I mean, it stars Charlie Sheen, of course. But, you know, you got Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe. They play the rival, you know, guys in charge, you know, in the power struggle. But you also got like Kevin Dillon. You know, you got Tony Todd. Keith David is in there. Forrest Whitaker. Johnny Depp's in here as well. I mean, and I'm sure I'm missing like 2 or 3 others that are awesome too. I mean, it is just a stacked movie. And it's an Oliver Stone flick, well directed, beautifully shot. The score is absolutely haunting. It is so good. The soundtrack was amazing. I wore that cassette tape out when I was growing up. I mean, it had such a good mix of not only the scores from the movie, but then all the other like really good tracks on there, like White Rabbit and Tracks of My Tears, and all these different kind of Motown songs and different things. Very very cool soundtrack. Love this movie though. I just expected, because of it being in 4K, that all these jungle scenes and these shootouts and stuff would look and sound like really really great. The sound's the exact same as what was on the Blu-ray before it, so not much difference in the sound. It's okay. There's not a lot of movement in the sound as far as the shootouts go. I thought there would be more of that. Even with the explosions, the bass was a little bit light. It didn't have too much punch to it, really. The only real cool parts was in some of the jungle scenes, like where it was like really really quiet, like they don't know if the bad guys are around, and they're trying to be like super stealthy. You could really hear like all the bug noises coming from all over the speakers. That was like the only like really kind of cool moments. And when you have a war movie and the coolest audio moment you're talking about is bugs, that's not a good thing. So I don't know. Also, don't really like the slipcover either. I think this artwork's kind of sucky. And the transfer was okay. At some scenes, it was very crisp, very clear. You could definitely tell like an upgrade there. Really nice detail. And then there were some pulled back shots and different shots in the movie where it was like super, the detail just wasn't there, and it was really kind of grainy. And I hate that. I hate when they do that. Like I don't mind if it's like super grainy or if it's cleaned up, as long as it's consistent. I hate when it switches back and forth quite a bit, and this one does a lot of that. So I don't know. It's worth the upgrade, but I just wasn't impressed by it like I was hoping that I would be. I've only got two more, so hang in there with me. The next one is Friday the 13th, and this is put out by Paramount. Awesome transfer on here. Of course, we already had the Blu-ray that had a 4K transfer done to it, and that Blu-ray looked really good anyway. So did this like really stand out a lot more? It was good. I mean, it was definitely, you could tell with some of the colors that there was definitely a nice pop with some of the colors. Now, some of the skin tones did come off a little bit redder than I remember on the Blu-ray, but everything else looked really nice, like the greens, the clothing, the different the signs and things. Everything just kind of popped. They were a little more vibrant, a little more colorful. You could see a little bit more detail. There was a lot of nice things about it. I wasn't expecting much of an upgrade, and I think I got a little more than I expected. The audio sounds a little bit better too. It definitely felt, I definitely had more movement, more utilizing like some of the other speakers, the surround sound, so it wasn't like so front heavy the way the Blu-ray kind of was. Uh, it wasn't, it's not like a crazy great audio experience, but it gave me enough of an upgrade, more than I expected. So I'm very pleased with this one. It actually exceeded my expectations. And then the last one is The Fog, and I got the 4K Steelbook. This movie was just way too gorgeous of a steelbook to pass up on this one. This is a double dip for me. I have the Studio Canal Carpenter 4-pack, which has Escape from New York, Prince of Darkness, They Live, and The Fog, and it's the exact same transfer. I've had this one for almost 2 years, so I've seen this 4K transfer like I think 3 times now. So I'm used to what it looks like. I know what it looks like, but this does have a Dolby Atmos to it, and the other one does not. The one on this pack, it's just a 5.1. So I am curious to listen to the upgraded audio and see if it sounds a little better. I'll probably pop this in next month and check it out. But I love The Fog. I don't care what other YouTubers say. I don't think it's boring. Yeah, I love The Fog. It keeps me entertained the whole way through. It has such atmosphere, creepy environment. I don't know. I get immersed in the whole thing, and I think that's a big reason. It's one of those things about the environment that you watch your movies in. Like if you're watching, like if you only got like an hour or maybe an hour and a half before you got to go to work, and you try to watch like part of a movie, that's not the way to watch a movie, Or if you're like trying to squeeze a movie in and you're like dead tired and you'll probably fall asleep. Again, not a great way to watch a movie. You should always try to watch a movie like when you're kind of alert, get yourself a snack, turn the lights out, turn the sound up, and just really try to get into the movie. You're going to enjoy it so much more. It makes a difference, And with that being said, guys, that is it for my pickups this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you're unsubscribed to the channel, I invite you to do so. And as always, stay safe, have fun, keep watching those movies. And I'll see you on the next one.